Welcome to The Plus Ones, a podcast serving wedding advice and hot takes from the Blue Ridge to the upstate. I'm Taylor, your co-host, and I share this platform with my good friend and wedding planner, Kat. We're seasoned wedding plus ones who aren't afraid to say the quiet parts out loud. So whether you're newly engaged or knee-deep in vendor quotes, we're here to help you make sense of the madness. Let's get started. Hi, Plus Ones. Welcome back. We are so happy to have you here today. Today's going to be a quick one. It's going to be our 15-minute Friday episode. So we're just going to chat for like just a few minutes. We'll yap back and forth about something you might be interested in hearing, especially if you're planning a wedding. So today's topic is, do you really need a photo shot list at your wedding?
I know that you have really strong opinions on this topic. And so I'm just excited to hear and really dive into this with you
Mm, all
because
right.
this is your bread and butter. And you can
Yes.
convince an army of people to have a shot list. So I just want to hear what you have to say about it.
I have mixed feelings about a shot list. So my answer
Oh,
is, yeah, I have mixed feelings. My answer directly, immediately is yes and no. So I send all of my couples a questionnaire, and in that questionnaire, it is a list of family photos. Those are a must-have shot list for every wedding period. Family photos are family formals. I have to have a shot list for those. And I would appreciate it if you took the time, wrote their names out, wrote their like who they are in your family member as far as family members go. I also have a section that says, do you have any must have shots? This is not, oh, yes, a picture of me with each of my bridesmaids. That in my head, I've been doing this for 12 years. That is already an automatic yes. That's already going to happen. It's already on the timeline. If you have a bridal party, you're already getting full bridal party photos with individuals of each. Like it's already happening. So you don't need to take the time to write that out for me. Part of like why I charge so much as a wedding photographer is because I have so much experience and you can trust me. You're putting so much trust into me, and that's really important. What I mean by are there any must have shots are, oh, I really want a special photo with my grandmother's heirloom ring, or I have my mom's wedding dress sewn underneath my wedding dress, stuff that wouldn't normally be on anybody else's timeline for their wedding day. So, yes and no. I don't need a shot list as far as like, oh, please get the tables at the wedding. Please get the food at the wedding. Please get all my bridal party. Like, obviously, those are going to happen as it is. I just need those really special things that don't go from wedding to wedding, that are unique to your own wedding. I also have a section that says, are there any special events planned or anything like that could surprise us as far as like the ceremony goes, like a foot washing, things like that. That once again wouldn't be passed on from wedding to wedding typically. So yeah, that's my long-winded answer. What do you think?
well, and I think going off of that, like, let's say that bridal party photos aren't super important to you. You might want to mention that in
Yeah.
this questionnaire. Um, I think that it is very unique to every couple. Um, and especially like what you're saying, like mentioning stuff like if, your mom's dress is any bit part of incorporated into your wedding. Like I always love when the mom's dress is tied around the bouquet. That might not be something that you immediately see. Or a locket tied around the bouquet. I think that'd be really something to make sure that you tell your photographer. I remember we did a style shoot several years ago, and uh, it was something that happens. It's not anybody's fault, but we didn't get enough photo coverage of the suits, and that became a really big issue. But it was just something that I should have mentioned and should have made more apparent to Taylor. And it's something like that. Like, let's say you have a sponsorship with Diet Coke or Maybelline or something. I don't know. I'm seeing more and more of these weddings that have sponsorships attached to them. Sorority recruitment. I'm all on that side of TikTok now too, and they've got poppy sponsorships and stuff like that. So if you have anything like that that really needs to be photographed, make sure that you mention that to your photographer.
Yeah, I can't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's important. Like the biggest thing in any wedding photographer or wedding planner client relationship to me is communication. Communication is the most important thing in this entire event. You telling me what you want, how you want it, like you're not going to hurt my feelings. You're not going to bother me. You're not going to get on
No.
my nerves. Like my job is to serve you as best as I can, and I can only do that if you communicate with me how, what you're expecting. Expectations are very important in this line of work, and yeah, so I think that's really really important. Also, there are some clients who don't even want family formals. So if that's you and you're like, ooh, I don't want any family formals, I want them all candid, I just want like a hangout, let your photographer know about that ahead of time. Like when we show up, we can't just be expected to know what's going on. So communication is everything. I cannot say that enough. It's so important. It really helps if you have a wedding planner, of course. We talk about this all the time, but to me, wedding planners are absolutely necessary. That relationship that even the relationship that wedding planners have with clients, I don't really have that much. I don't spend as much time with my clients as you do. And I can, we chat occasionally. We stay in touch on Instagram. We do the things. I send over the forms, but even so, that line of communication is tighter with wedding planners. So it's really nice to have a client or a couple who has a wedding planner, and I know that that wedding planner knows them inside and out at this point. So
Yeah.
to me, it helps. The wedding planners, help us with the timeline, and it's good. It's great.
And your wedding planner is serving as an advocate to the couple.
Yeah.
I'm an advocate for you guys so that we can have, this internal dialogue between me and the vendor team. It's important to have that internal dialogue within your vendors and to have somebody like a wedding planner that can advocate for you that speaks that language. So that when, Taylor and I, a month before the wedding, are talking about the shot list and what's important to them, I can explain, certain family dynamics that have come into play, certain things that are really important to them, who's passed and your immediate family that you'd like to be represented through wedding photography, if that makes any sense. But there are these conversations that wedding vendors have that are important to how the overall day is going to go.
Yeah. I think to elaborate a little bit more, the question was that we are answering, do you really need a shot list for your wedding day?
Mm,
And still the answer to me is yes and no. I think it's not as simple as just sending over a Google Doc. Um,
yeah.
my questionnaire that I send pre-wedding is everything to me. And it does have like, are there any special relationships that I need to know about? Any strained relationships that I need to know about? Those are all really important. So as far as like, do you need a shot list? Technically, yes. Technically, I need a shot list because I don't know the things that I don't know. And if
Yeah.
there are special things there, I can't just assume that you can't just assume that I know those things. So technically the answer to this question is yes, you need a shot list, but there is a point where the line is drawn. Like, I don't need to know. I've done this before only like 7,000 times. So I don't need to know. I don't need you to write a shot list that's like getting ready photos, detail photos, reception tables, toast photos. Like obviously that's all happening. I'm capturing what is happening in that moment, no matter what it is, no matter when it's happening. I'm there to document the whole thing. And that's my job. That's what I'm going to be doing. So this really just goes for those special unknown things that I wouldn't know by doing what I do normally. So technically the answer is yes. And I bet a lot of people didn't see that coming.
I think that it's also important to understand, going back to room shots. Room shots, if they are important to you, like they are important to me in every single wedding. I prioritize room shots and not only room shots, but that I want that private room reveal with, uh, all of my super design couples because we've been working on putting that design together for so long. yes, it requires a lot of extra logistics. Like if we're doing a Catholic wedding, we've got to make sure that that photographer gets to that venue before guests do. And
Mhm.
that can be really, really tough.
Yeah.
So we
So
also need to know how important some of these things are so that when
yes,
logistics come into play, we can figure out what needs to be prioritized.
this is true. I have a list that's like pick your top three things that are
Yeah.
most important to you. And for example, I have an example off the top of my head. I shot a wedding a few years ago and at the Crest Center in Asheville, and her reception was incredible, like absolutely the most gorgeous thing I have ever seen. Like she put so much thought and so much effort into this. It was so important for her. Like it was number one priority, top of her list. And she communicated this with me very clearly that I got room shots. It was
Hmm.
like number one, absolutely very important. Well, the florist wouldn't evacuate the room and wouldn't finish up. And I had like 5 minutes before the ceremony was starting. And I was standing there waiting to get room shots because after that, if you don't know the Crest Center, the ceremony is attached basically to the cocktail hour. Like guests walk from there into the room. So it's like we didn't have any time. The only time we had to do it was this few minutes before the ceremony. So the florist was running late, which doesn't usually happen. This was kind of a one-off thing, but I really only got a few shots. And there was truthfully nothing that I could do in that situation, but this is a good example of why communication is everything, because the importance of the room shot should have been communicated to the florist as well.
Yeah.
The timeline should have been better prepped for the florist to finish up with enough time to prioritize room shots. And it is what it is. It just sucks that these things are lessons learned when you can't go back and change them.
I'm thinking back to a wedding that I had recently where the florist, we had calls about this, we had emails about this, we had all agreed to this super specific wedding timeline because it was a Catholic wedding. So we were on sort of that stricter time schedule. And I don't even remember if I had discussed this specific wedding with you or not, but the florist just completely ignored it. The florist, I'm pretty sure, went home and took a nap instead of doing what they were supposed to do in between the ceremony and reception. And I have never been so thankful for Lexapro my entire life because I was ready to. I can have these conversations. I can do everything that in my power to make sure that it goes smoothly, and still shit just falls through the cracks.
When that happens, it falls back on me. It looks like it's my
Yeah.
responsibility. So when I'm unable to get room shots because the florist and her employees are in every shot, then it looks like it's my fault. So
Yeah.
yeah, going back to what I was originally saying, communication is everything. And I don't just mean communication with me. I mean communication with your entire vendors team,
Hmm.
especially with your planner, leading that conversation because yeah, it could just get tricky and we don't want that. Nobody wants that. So was this controversial?
I think it's really interesting hearing from you how I've worked with a lot of photographers that have a very detailed shot list. You know, it's this person and this person and this person, this person,
Mm-mm.
this person. And it's pages long. And, you know, I'm out there calling names and doing all this for those formal lists. And then sometimes I don't have a shot list at all.
Yeah,
It so depends on the photographer and the couple and the relationship between the photographer and the
yeah,
couple.
it does. And it really depends on wedding size. It depends
Yeah.
on really I'll tell you, the only shot list we read off of, like I'll prep beforehand and I read the questionnaire about the two of them. I'll read that over again and then I'll read through all the questionnaires and like really get an idea of what to expect for the day. But really the only shot list that we read off of a paper is the family formal shot list.
Yeah.
And that's, of course, that goes for any other odd combinations. So, like if you have a group of sorority sisters from college that are your bridesmaids, but you only want a picture with just them and not some of your other bridesmaids, I would need to know that. But I don't need like bridesmaids, individual bridesmaids. Like I'm going to do that no matter what. I'm in this routine of doing the things that I do at every wedding because I've been doing it for 10 years, over 10 years. So just it's second nature to me at this point.
Have you been doing this 12 years or 10 years or 14 years? Pick a number.
I've been doing it
Pick
since
a number.
2013. It's kind of complicated because I didn't start my business and pay taxes until 2014, but I picked up a camera in 2012.
I
That
think
makes
then go with 2012 then.
really?
It's like I have been in the events industry since 2017, but I didn't open up the doors to my business until 2023. So yeah, it's a murky timeline,
Okay, well,
but
I don't know.
experience,
I'll land on something eventually.
yeah.
Okay, so yeah, maybe I feel like every episode we have, we make someone mad.
Who I think that if we weren't,
I don't want to make any vendors mad. Like, I know your jobs are hard. I get that. All I'm saying is that it's important to communicate expectations with your vendors so that these things are avoided. And I'm not wrong about that.
I'm going to send you an article that really changed my outlook on life. It's called The Value of Being Disturbed by Judith Butler. And it talks about, honestly, the value of being uncomfortable, the value and just on how modern day we are meant to be. Our subconscious is always trying to make us more and more comfortable. And today's society, it's so accessible with, our comfy furniture and our comfy clothes and our comfy everything. We need to be a little uncomfortable. We need to be a little moved at some point.
Yeah, I like that. Send me that link.
You're never going to read it.
I will. I love to read. Okay, so that wraps up our 15-minute Friday episode about do you really need a shot list? I don't know if I gave you an answer. If I didn't, just move on.
I think we expanded on it.
I think I gave you enough of an idea. I don't know. Just send me a DM and I'll fix this.
Well, and if you've ever listened to one of Tate and Monjo's podcasts, they're always apologizing for something. And that's my idol.
We're so sorry to offend the people.
Also, I know that Taylor is probably going to cut this out, but you should really try and read The Value of Being Disturbed by Judith Butler. It just really helped me through every stage of my life. I just continue going back to it.
All right. Well, thank you guys for being plus ones, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for joining. Enjoy your weekend.